All right. Welcome, everybody. Good to be back after a little bit of a hiatus. I think we had over a month since the last Speaking of Zane. Thank you all for sticking with us there. Had some international travel and Super Bowl, this, that, and the other. And we are back at it now. Good to see you all in there. Let's see. Daryl is in there. Steve is in there. Steve and Kathy have been on an interesting adventure there down to Antarctica. I know 3 or 4 people who have recently have done an Antarctica excursion. It's becoming more and more accessible and common. So welcome back, Steve. Lori is in there. Lori is in Oklahoma City. More about that in a minute. Oklahoma City-ish, somewhere in there. Carl and Peggy are in there. My dad is in there. Mac Marine. Ken is in there, fresh from the PGA Tour over the weekend. Well, good to have everybody in there after a little bit of a break, but had a really good trip to London. You guys know I go 3 or 4 times a year. Only went for a week this visit, but it was very productive. Got a lot of things going over there, and I'll be going back. Actually, I've got I know I'll be going back in July, and then again in December. It'll be the 3rd December that I've been over there. It's a great Christmas city, London. So look forward to that, and lots of other travel between now and then. But happy spring forward. It was nice that the sun was still out after 7 o'clock today, for sure. I don't know why we do that, daylight savings time. Anyway, good to be back in the longer days. And warmer weather for some, not warm for all, but certainly down here in the South, we were in the 60s today. We'll be, I think, about 70 or so tomorrow here in the Atlanta metro. But good. I mentioned Lori is in Oklahoma. Lori's stepfather, Stan, who's retired Air Force, took a little bit of fall. Speaking of winter weather, I think he slipped on the ice and broke a leg. Not in a good way, not like a theater break a leg, but broke a leg. But anyway, Lori flew out there. What's it, Lori? A couple weeks now, week and a half at least. And so Lori is out there helping them with the logistics and everything of Stan being in the hospital and therapy and all that stuff. I don't know when she's coming home. Maybe over the next week or so, if she can get Stan and Carol situated so that they can go about their normal daily routine with Stan being down for a bit. But we're fortunate that Lori doesn't work, so fortunate that she's got this great flexibility and is able to come and go. And her health is really good at the moment, and she's fortunate that she's able to go and help. But I do miss her. But we had some birthdays since we last were together. My sister, who is 11 months younger than me, Sharon is her name. She had a birthday on February 22nd. And then my brother, Brad, my youngest brother, he's 11 years younger than me. He had a birthday on February 28th, which coincides with my grandma McDonald's birthday. I don't know how old she would be. She passed some years ago, but she'd certainly be over 100 something now. I don't remember what year she was born in. That's my dad's mom. My dad's 80, so she's at least 100. Would be 100. And then my brother Terry, who's third in line, he had a birthday on March the 6th. So we got a lot of birthdays in this window. My Uncle Arthur, my Uncle Jack, a lot of February, March birthdays in our McDonald family. And then toward the end of the month, I'll call it out as we get closer. But our first grandchild, Colton, will have a birthday toward the end of March. And he and I chat every now and then, and I already know what he wants for his birthday, so I'm going to help him get it. Maybe some pictures will follow for that. Well, let's see what else is going on since we were last together. We've been doing this Running to Honor 5K every summer, and some of you have participated with us. It's the last Saturday in July, I believe that's right. And we found out about Running to Honor through one of Zane's battle buddies. And now we're friends with Aaron Bartle up in Michigan, who is the founder and leader of this Running to Honor thing that we've been doing for quite a few years now. Well, we're doing it again this year. And I bring it up because we've got a Speaking of Zane team. So if you want to be part of that, you can be anywhere in the country. You can go to the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, and there's a link I put in there, or you can just Google Running to Honor 5K. It's in Michigan. You can do it virtually. Running to Honor 5K, and you'll see how you sign up. But if you go to sign up, and some of you already have, there is a team you can join called Speaking of Zane. So you can join the Speaking of Zane team. How about that? Now, I'll be doing it again this year in London. I did it for the first time in London last year. Now I've got a bunch of my colleagues are all excited about it again this year. So I'll be over there again over the summer. Lori might be with me. I'm not sure what her schedule is going to accommodate, but we'll be doing it in London this year. But you can go to the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, or go to Running to Honor, find the Speaking of Zane team, and you can join the team. Good stuff. Let's see what other we got a lot of travel going and planned for this year. But one of the things I'm most excited about, and I see Randy Bergmeyer has joined there. Hey, Randy, praying for you. Randy's got a little health issue right now. He's okay, not life-threatening, but pray for Randy Bergmeyer. Randy was one of our communications operators there at the 10th Axe. But Randy and Kathy Bergmeyer have coordinated our 10th Axe reunion this year. So what have we been having it every 2 or 3 years, Randy? I've been to a couple of them, but I'm excited about this year because it's in Dayton, Ohio, where the Air Force Museum is at. And Randy and Kathy have coordinated everything, and we're all registered. Lori and I are going to go. We're going to drive, actually, because we're going to take that whole week. We're going to spend a couple of days in Kentucky on the Bourbon Trail, and then make our way on up to Dayton and spend a long weekend there, palling around with some of our old Air Force colleagues that were part of the 10th Axe, 513th AMS, 513th OMS, and the Silk Purse. And it should be fun. Looking forward to it. Okay, let's see what else we got going here. I got a cool book in the mail. I've got this friend of mine that I met through work that's become a really good pal, and he's the most compassionate guy, and he sends me things, and he sends me beef jerky quite often, as does Amy Walton. But he sent me something special this time because he knows I'm a World War II buff, and he knows I'm a B-17 guy, and he sent me this book this past week called A Higher Call. You may have heard of this story. It's a fascinating story of a B-17 that was damaged, and the German pilot of the German fighter could have taken them down. Could have. They were definitely crippled, and he chose not to, and he escorted them to the English Channel. And you can see it's a pretty robust book. I know the story in general about that, but I don't know the details. I'm excited about digging into this. And it turns out that these two pilots, one American of the B-17 and the German pilot, I think it was an ME-109, they met decades later. And I'm excited to hear the story. But anyway, thank you, Jeff Klein, my good friend, for sending that to me. I am blessed to have good friends. Well, let's see. Let's see who else we had joined here. I mentioned Randy. Oh, Daryl's in there. Daryl Granahan's in there. How you doing, buddy? And Lori's talking about, yeah, so next year, so not this summer, but next summer, the Running to Honor 5K in Michigan will be special because Aaron is going to highlight the life of Zane McDonald in the Running to Honor. And we're going to take the opportunity to actually visit Michigan, be there in person for the race. And Lori is in the process of coordinating a reunion of sorts of Zane's, many of Zane's battle buddies. They were last together for his funeral in 2016. So it'll be 10 years. It'll be the 10-year anniversary of his passing and about the 15th anniversary of when they all served in Iraq together. So I'm hoping that a bunch of his battle buddies can make the trip, and we'll just make it a really nice event, somber but celebratory, to have them all together for that Running to Honor 5K in 2026. I'm excited about that. Yeah, Randy, that's right. The actual Memphis Belle has been restored and is displayed very nicely at the Air Force Museum at Wright-Patterson in Dayton. I've seen it. My last visit, it was done and on display. It's very nice the way that they've displayed it. Looking forward to seeing it again this year, Randy, on our visit. All right, well, let's see what else we got here. Hat of the week, hat of the week. Hat of the week always has something that has to do with something going on around here at the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum. And right now it's all about spring training. How about that? Football is over, thank God, and we are into baseball season, and spring training is upon us. Sadly, I don't think I'm going to be able to make a spring training game this year. I don't know. I might give it a whirl. It'll have to be a quick trip, but the Braves are, let's see, let me look at the tally. The Braves are 7-5. Of course, these things really don't matter during spring training. They're trying all kind of things, but the Braves are 7-5, lost today, sadly, but I really do enjoy spring training. I've done several spring trainings in Florida, done a couple in Arizona. Arizona's fun because they're all in the Phoenix metro. So you can, one day I did 3 games in one day, which is fantastic. But love baseball, and before you know it, we will be in the thick of it. Okay, so for that, the hat of the week is the Braves. I got this hat. It's just a little sweaty, but I got this hat at the inaugural season of the Braves at their new ballpark in hockey in Port Charlotte, Florida. They moved from Disney. Well, I like hockey too. Of course, one of the founders of the company I worked for the last 13 years. I just had my 13th year anniversary at this company. Long time in tech to be in one place, but one of the founders is a part owner of the St. Louis Blues, so I'm kind of partial to the St. Louis Blues. So I'll be watching hockey for sure. And then we've got March Madness coming up here pretty quick, and I've got a couple of my academy students that are going to be heading up a March Madness pool for us here coming up pretty soon. Well, Ken, we know what you watch. Ken spent the weekend watching golf down there in Orlando, and I know that was a lot of fun. Good time of year in Florida right now, not too overbearingly warm. And Ken, saw some of your posts there. You were making it on TV quite a bit, and hope you had a good time with it. All right. Well, let's see. I didn't pull any this week in military history items, but I had a couple on here that have occurred since we were last together. One was on February 3rd. I talked about February 3rd, didn't I? About the Looking Glass mission starting and everything in 1961. I think I talked about that. But an unfortunate February 3rd date occurred. I think it's February 3rd. Am I right, Jimbo? Jim Miller lost his wife, Deb, just about a week after we lost Zane. And we were in serious mourning for Zane, and then out of the blue, Jim Miller loses his wife, Deb, that same year, 2016. So thoughts are with you there, Jimbo. And then just that next week is the day. It was February the 9th that we laid Zane to rest. He passed on January 31st, but it was a good over a week and a few days to get a spot at Georgia National, and then a very unusual weather pattern for us. We had snow on February the 9th of 2016, so much that the Patriot Guard motorcycle group could not ride the motorcycles. It was too dangerous. But so there was no escort, but they did show up at the cemetery. They stuck it out. They did the mission. They just didn't do the ride. They just didn't do the motorcycle ride. But they were fantastic, and I appreciate them. All right. Well, let's see. Let's move on to, let's see. Ken's got a This Week in Military History. 35 years ago today. All right. So Ken, as a young, what were you, a first lieutenant by then, Ken? Was certified to pull nuclear alerts. Ken is what we affectionately refer to as a cone head. And Ken, as a young second lieutenant, probably 22, 23-year-old, Ken was in charge of executing a retaliatory nuclear strike in the event that we were launched upon. And of course, that was a two-man team. So Ken wasn't down there by himself. He had a colleague, but they were separated far enough that neither one of them could turn the keys alone. And they were also armed. But Ken, thank you for that. Thank you for stepping up to do that very important job. That job still is necessary, and we have young men and women fulfilling that role for our country to this day. All right, let's see, what else do we got here? Let's move on to our challenge. I know that since we last met, we've had a number of veteran cemetery visits. I know that since that time, Daryl has made a couple of visits, and Daryl is, Daryl underwent knee replacement surgery. Then he was back in the hospital several times. And in the middle of all that was paying visits to his wife at Jefferson Barracks. And then his daughter, Donna, who was visiting him and helping him, got into a car accident and she's in the hospital. Daryl, is she Daryl, is she out of the hospital now in therapy, or what's the latest on her? But just a terrible turn of events there with Daryl's daughter, Donna, who was looking after him, and now he's helping look after her. Just an incredible story, but been praying for Donna and for you, Daryl, and we'll continue to, and hope that both of you are on the mend and recover nicely. But I know that you've been able to go back and forth um, to visit Donna, your wife, there at Jefferson Barracks. I know, and the weather has not been. You guys have had a serious winter in the St. Louis metro this year, where you've had a significant amount of snow, several different snowfalls, and you've still been able to make it out there. Of course, my dad makes regular visits to visit my mom, as does my sister. So I always count those. And then before Lori went to Oklahoma, she made a visit to Georgia National Cemetery to visit Zane. I made a visit there today on a little bit of it was 50 degrees, but at a little higher elevation. It was in the 40s, a little higher elevation where the cemetery is, about 20 miles north of here. But had a good time, spent about an hour there with Zane today, and a lot of activity going on at the cemetery. They've just prepared, three or four new sections to begin accepting burials. They excavate a section, they place these cement vaults very precisely, and then they bury all of those, and they reseed and grass and everything. And now they've got all these new locations ready. Certainly where I will eventually rest in the coming years. But, so I made a visit there today, which was very nice. And if I add up all the visits that I know about over the last 3 or so weeks since we last met, I count 23 of them. And actually, looks like, Jim, I'm going to add your Omaha visit. That'll make it 24. And so since we started visiting these veteran cemeteries many years ago as a group, we have made a total of 1,413 visits, which is incredible to think about, right? And that's to almost 200 different cemeteries all across the world, actually. So thank you guys for doing that with us. You guys are really good when you're on the road, when you go out of town. You guys are looking for veteran cemeteries to visit, and then you share that with us, and that's how I catalog those. And it's an interesting thing. They're very reverent places. It's interesting. I don't know how many I've been to now. But I've been to them all over the world, well, all over the country, and then a couple in UK. But they all have some underlying things in common, but they all have their own uniqueness based on the location, the geography, the weather, the topology. So it's such an interesting thing that they have this underlying foundation of things that are exactly the same, but then they have these distinct differences based on those variables. But I enjoy visiting for sure. It's sad you have to visit a relative in one, but I do enjoy visiting and holding those that are interred there in high regard. And so I will keep doing it until I'm in one. So thank you guys for coming alongside us. Well, there's my old Air Force colleague, Phil Blue, who I look up to all the way back to tech school. And then again at RAF Mildenhall. Good to have you in there. Are you still in South Kakalaki? I think that's true. Well, let's see. What else do we got here? Well, we'll move on to the Thank a Vet Challenge. You know, we've been in the business of when we come across a fellow veteran or a first responder or an active duty service member, we acknowledge them. We might say hi. We might strike up a conversation. We might say thank you. And we've been doing that for some time now. So I like to track those, you can see. And we've had about between 3 and 4 weeks since we were together. So I've got a good collection of those, and I'm going to add Ken's right now. Ken is adding his in there. So let's see. 2 Army and 1 Navy. Very good, Ken. No doubt that when you're out and about, you're in this constant state of awareness. So let me adjust my totals here, and then I'll give the total count. Here it looks like Carl, I'm gonna have to get yours in here as well. See, Carl said, okay, Carl had 6 thank yous. So let me update the numbers on the fly here. This is how flexible we are. We'll update the numbers on the fly. And okay, you had 6. Okay, I'm going to add your 6 visits to Sedalia. So that'll increase our number there. So that'll be an even 30 visits. Add 6, 19. So let me revise the veteran cemetery visits to 30 since we last met. A total of 1,419 now. How about that? Thank you, Carl, for last minute numbers there. And then I've got your thank yous and Ken's thank yous. So if I look at, let me run through the thank yous since we were last together. So Carl just acknowledged 6. My dad had 2 Air Force, a retired Army, 3 Air Force, 2 vets at Walmart. You can always count on a vet at Walmart. And then 4 Ben Hill County Sheriffs. And Ken had 2 Army, 1 Navy. Lori had 3 Army at the airport on her trip to Oklahoma. 4 Oklahoma State Troopers, a retired Navy guy, and a retired Air Force pilot, a National Guardsman, and an Army infantry guy. So she had quite a tally this last week. Jimbo, since we last met, had 4 Air Force and a K-9. How about that? That might be our first K-9. Then he had an Air Force and an Army. Daryl had a Marine, an Air Force, and an Army. And then here was my count since we were last together. A number of these were at work. Had Air Force guy Brandon, Air Force guy Quentin, we call him Q, a Navy guy Bill, a Marine Corps guy called Sean, my Air Force friend Latrice ×2 because I've met her twice over the last month here in Atlanta. Air Force guy called Dan, lives in Arizona. Air Force guy Orbell, we call him O. Marine Corps vet called Bob. My Air Force buddy Paz. Air Force guy called Jose. Army guy Tom. Army guy Ben. And when I was in London, Caitlin, who's in the Royal Air Force Reserve, works for us. And another colleague in the London office called Glenn, who was in the Royal Navy in the 80s. And then my buddy Mike, who was in London with us, who served in the Air Force. He was did comms on comm support for Air Force One. So that was my total. And if I add all of those up, I think we're at about 57 thank yous since we were last together for an episode of Speaking of Zane. Not too shabby. We're getting on up there, probably in another couple of hundred. Lori needs to be thinking about updating our Think of That challenge sign, but we're at 3,330. 3,330. How about that? Not too shabby. So thank you guys for doing that with us. All right. Well, let's move on to, I always talk about organizations that we're a part of, we support, you guys are a part of, you support or know of the good work they do. And anytime there's something, I'll call them out. Running to Honor is one. I just called them out. We'll be doing that in July. It's amazing. We're already planning things in July. I know I look at my calendar on my wall here and I've got travel in March, April, May, June. I've got travel in July. I've already got stuff in October and September. And then all the way out, I mentioned London again in December. So it's amazing how quickly time flies and the need to plan accordingly. But some of these organizations, I've got a couple of updates. I mentioned Running to Honor, but Reach Across America got a very nice, here, let me share it. We got a very nice, we had a Reach Across America Speaking of Zane team. I do a Speaking of Zane team pretty much for everything, but I'll share, let's see if I can share the screen here. Where's it at? Okay, there, I'm going to share the screen. There we go. There we go. I shared this. We got a nice little certificate of the Speaking of Zane team for our activities this year for Reach Across America. I have two teams that I manage. One is the Speaking of Zane team, which also includes some of my local colleagues who live here in Atlanta. But then I also manage a team for our company, and that's primarily at Jefferson Barracks in Missouri. So that's kind of cool that they send out a nice acknowledgement there. So thought I would share that with you guys. Also want to share something really cool. This is like, it's been a couple of weeks since I found this, and I don't remember, Lori. I don't know if I told Lori. I don't remember where I found this. I can't remember. But sometimes we will find a picture that we have never seen before, that we didn't even know existed. And it's like a gift when you find something that you've never seen before. And we found one. I found one a few weeks ago. And wow, it just warms your heart to think you're seeing your son. You're seeing a picture of your son that you've never seen before. You're seeing this. You're seeing a snapshot in time. And here's one that we found. I found, and it's just incredible. It's just an incredible thing when you find something you've never seen, and there he is, blonde hair. He's got his watch. I still have this watch. I'm going to give this watch. He kept it on his flak vest. I have this watch, and I'm going to give it to his son Colton eventually. But just to see him and his battle buddy Max in Iraq, it's just I don't know. It's hard to describe it. Maybe you guys know if you found a picture of a loved one or something and you didn't know existed, and it shows your loved one, and in a moment in time that you've never seen. It's just incredible. Um, and I hope there's many more of these over the years that we stumble on. But just amazing to see him. I cry, I laugh when I think about him, when I see his music, when I see his pictures. It's just this, this, all of these emotions. He was such a funny kid, such a funny man. Um, it was such a tragic story at the end. All these emotions, and when you see a picture of him or a post on Facebook or something, it's a very emotional thing. And I'm not the most emotional person, I guess. I don't know. Am I? I don't know. But it's just it's incredible. It's an incredible thing for sure. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. Um, and I was on. I don't know what reminded me of that, but I was talking about um, the different organizations. Reach Across America. Well, Reach Across America, I just found out. It's amazing. They're already planning. It's an enormous undertaking, this Reach Across America Day, but this year is going to be December the 13th. So it'll be Saturday, December the 13th. And they have this year's theme already. And it's called Keep Moving Forward. Wow. Keep moving forward is the theme. That's good advice for anybody, for any circumstance. Keep moving forward. So that's kind of a cool. I always look forward to Thanksgiving coming around, and then I start to listen to Reach Across America radio pretty regularly, especially on my afternoon walk. You can listen to Reach Across America right now. I do periodically, but really around Christmas, I listen to Reach Across America radio, and there's a lot of interviews and different military related things on there, as you might imagine. But there's also good American music, Americana, classic American rock and roll, classic American country, modern country. It's where I discovered Jelly Roll, believe it or not. I'd never heard of Jelly Roll. I don't listen to traditional country, or I don't listen to today's country on the radio and stuff like that. But I learned about Jelly Roll through Reach Across America, and I've come to admire him and his story. If you don't know anything about him, go search. Do a search on Jelly Roll. I've talked about him before. One of my students gave me a signed, autographed copy, CD. But his songs, it's like this current album of his. It's like every song could be Zane or Tyler's story. It's just incredible. But when I really want a good cry, I'll put that music on. But anyway, Jelly Roll. Anyway, that's how I know about Jelly Roll is from Reach Across America. It's funny how things are so intertwined in our lives. But unfortunately, I have a segment here. I always like to acknowledge whenever we lose a service member or a first responder. And I know I've missed some since we were last together. There have been some unfortunate law enforcement officer deaths. One here in a little suburb of Atlanta called Roswell, and others across the country. And then, of course, we've had some military losses, a couple of notable ones. We lost the crew of the Black Hawk helicopter in Washington, D.C., and that crew was a Chief Warrant Officer, Andrew Eves. He was from Great Mills, Maryland, and then the co-pilot was Captain Rebecca Lobach. She was from Durham, North Carolina, and then the crew chief on board was Staff Sergeant Ryan O'Hara, and he was from right here in the Atlanta metro, a little town called Lilburn in Gwinnett County. And then we lost some third ID soldiers from Fort Stewart recently during training exercise. Unfortunately, I think it was a vehicle-related accident, and we lost those two. Let me share. I do have some pictures here. They deserve to be acknowledged for sure. I had it teed up here, but for some reason it refreshed on me. But this was, I think it was a few weeks ago. Yeah, here we go. Share this. It's sad when we lose young people like this, for sure. There you go. You can see Specialist Jacob Mullen and Staff Sergeant Shelby Butner. And you can see she has spent some of her time in the service as a drill instructor. I don't think she was working in that capacity at Fort Stewart, but tragic to lose them for sure. And then we have another. We lost a Marine in the Philippines. You find his picture here. Another unfortunate circumstance. His name was Sergeant Jacob Durham, Sergeant Jacob Durham, and he was a crew member on a surveillance aircraft that was flying out of the Philippines, and they crashed. Here's a picture of him when he was looks like a boot camp photo. But Sergeant Jacob Durham was, I believe, he was a sensor operator on a. He was the only military person on board the aircraft. It was a contracted. It was an MC-12, maybe. The kind that my friend Jerry Egan's son was on board when attacked in Africa. But yeah, just a sad circumstance when we lose any of them for sure. That's why we ought to acknowledge them. I mean, they step up and they know that these things are possible, and they go and do it anyway. And they certainly deserve to be acknowledged for their service and their sacrifice. So rest in peace to all of them. Okay. Well, let's see what's going on now. Lori is in Oklahoma. We don't know for how long. I guess it depends on how well Stan and Carol are able to navigate the situation with Stan's leg, and Lori's helping them get a routine, I think, going and get things situated so that they can. I mean, they're resilient. They've been married 40 some years. He's retired Air Force. They've been through a lot over their lives. So I know they'll do just fine, but I'm glad Lori was able to go out there and give them a hand for a few weeks, but looking forward to having her back home. Certainly got to get her home. Well, she's going with me to Ohio, and that's not until the end of April, but I know she wants to get back, and she is a full-time Grammy, and I know she misses the two grandkids right here in town, Carson and Everett, and they miss her. And let's see what else. Normal work week for me this week. Lots going on, but I'm home this week, home next week, and then I've got a trip to Austin. I've got a trip to Austin coming up the last week of March for a day or two. It's a little undetermined right now. I'm actually on this road show. Me and one of my colleagues, well, several of my colleagues, we're teaching artificial intelligence in the classroom to teachers. All right, here's a guy that never went to college. Last week here in Atlanta, me and my colleague are facilitating a workshop teaching teachers. All of these teachers are like PhDs or doctoral students. And this guy's teaching them how to use AI in their classroom. It's the most comical thing. But anyway, I'm willing to do it. And we're going to be doing it all over the country. We've done a couple of them here in Atlanta, 3 in Atlanta. And now we're taking it on the road, and we'll be doing all over the country. And it's funny. It really is funny. But I do love it. And yes, Lori mentioned we have another baby coming. Well, we don't have a baby coming. We have another grandbaby coming. For those of you that don't know, our daughter Hannah, who's an Army vet, is married now to a guy called Kaleem, who's fantastic. And they're expecting. And it'll be his first. And it's a little girl. She'll be here in May. And her name is Nyla Lorraine. I don't know if we've announced this or not, Lori, to this group, but when we were at Hannah's house over Christmas, I think we did. Anyway, Hannah shared that the middle name of their daughter will be Lorraine, which is Lori's name, Colette Lorraine. So what a tribute, what a nice thing for Hannah and Kaleem to do, to include Lori's name in the baby's name. So there's a special bond right there. So yeah, it'll be nice to have a little granddaughter. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 granddaughters. This will be our 5th granddaughter. So we have Paisley. We have Carson. We have Zaylee. And then we have Maya. So we have 4, and now we'll have Nyla. So that'll be 5 granddaughters. Total of 13 grandkids, 7 biological, 6 that we've inherited through marriage. But they all call me granddaddy, and they all call Lori Grammy. So 7 and 6, I guess, 7 biological, 6 that we inherited that don't know any better than to call us Grammy and granddaddy. Anyway, they love us. We love them. All right. Well, that's about it. I have droned on and on. I've got to go down and clean up my dinner kitchen. Oh, Lori got me a really nice package from, she had it delivered yesterday. She knows I'm a carnivore. I'm pretty much 95% carnivore. And so I eat a lot of meat, obviously. And she got me a nice gift. It came on dry ice. It was 2 really nice cuts of steak and 2 different packages of sausage from a place called Snake River Farms. So I had a really nice New York strip tonight that I did a reverse sear. So cook it in the oven at 275 till it reaches an internal temperature of about 140, if you like it medium well. And then you bring it out and you sear it, and I do it in butter. So they call that a reverse sear, when you bake it first and then cook it. Anyway, it was absolutely fantastic. I'm getting ready to post a picture of it. And I did a really nice cabbage, fried cabbage with bacon. Oh, fantastic. I'm stuffed. Anyway, I got to go downstairs and clean up the kitchen. So anyway, thanks for doing without speaking to Zane for about 4 weeks. It's good to be back and talk. You can tell I love to talk. It's good to be back and talk about Zane. It's good to be back and talk about Lori and Carol and Stan and all of you guys, and visiting cemeteries and thanking veterans. And we'll do it again next Sunday night, God willing. And we'll look forward to seeing you all then. All right. Pray for everybody I said pray for. Pray for Stan. Pray for Donna. Pray for Daryl. Pray for Randy Bergmeyer. And we'll see you all again next Sunday night for another edition of Speaking of Zane. What will it be? I forgot to say at the onset, it's going to be, next week will be our 311th edition. 311 times we've done this crazy experiment. So thank you guys for coming along. We'll see you again next, what did I say? Sunday. Cheers.